just finished watching 1981's Time Bandits by Terry Gilliam. The story itself is about a young boy. It's told through the eyes of a young boy who... Kevin, who one night in his room sees a knight come out of the closet and leap across his bed and go through the wall into a forest. So the following night, he decides that he is going to make sure that he gets evidence of this. But instead, 6 little people come out of the closet and they go on this madcap adventure with the map that they stole from the Supreme Being, and Kevin tags along.
The map has it details all the holes in time, because apparently all of creation was a botched job that was done in 7 days, and there's a lot of holes in the fabric of reality. And this map shows where all of them are, and the little people in the story have concocted a plan to basically use those holes to get rich, stinking rich, as they say. And they end up taking Kevin along for the ride, and a crazy adventure ensues.
So, what did you kids think about the movie, Jay?
I really liked it.
What was your favorite part?
My favorite part was when Robin Hood's friend punches all those poor people.
John Cleese was Robin Hood, did an amazing job portraying him. He was just like this, I guess, like, just completely out of touch guy with what was going on, and his merry men were just disgusting, savage lunatics. And that sequence was also probably my favorite sequence. That and the Napoleon sequence were my favorite sequence in the movie.
Napoleon is my favorite character.
He says, I like watching little people.
Little things hitting each other. I guess I gotta be upfront. I picked this movie, and the reason why I picked it is because I saw this movie as a child back in 1981, and I loved this movie so much. And growing up, it was probably one of the influences on my sense of humor. Even today, this film cracks me up. It just cracks me up. People exploding.
Little things hitting each other.
Just the arguments. All of the actors in it are great. David Rappaport, who's... it's sad that a lot of those guys are no longer with us.
Yeah.
He was fantastic as Randall, the leader of the crew. And they said no leaders, but he was clearly the leader. And Vermin
he was
would eat anything. And
well, my favorite was David Warner, who I think is just amazing. And I feel
David Warner was evil.
And I feel like he's just not appreciated enough.
I mean, he's
do enough stuff. He's one of those guys.
I think he passed away.
Are you sure?
Just recently, I believe. I'm not positive, but I think he passed away recently. He's like a character actor who's always played, whenever they need an English bad guy, they bring out David Warner.
It was a big thing, right?
He was Sark in Tron, if you don't know who we're talking about. He was in The Exorcist, where he gets decapitated in spectacular fashion.
Yes. Oh, no, wait. Was it The Exorcist or The Omen?
The Omen.
The Omen, yes.
Omen. So I always confuse my devil movies. And
you are incorrect. He is still alive.
He's still going?
Yeah. He does the voice Gumball.
Oh, that's right. He is the voice.
Although
his voice was replaced. I believe.
Right.
He was the original voice of Dr. Wrecker in The Amazing World of Gumball.
Oh.
Yeah. But he's one of those character actors who's so solid, who's got such an amazing voice. I'm like, he should be doing voiceover work all of the time. Yeah. He's one of those kind of guys.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah. Just such a fun movie, and kudos to Terry Gilliam and Michael Palin, who I think also share writing credits for this movie. And it's kind of a sort of a trilogy of these fantastical movies out. So in 81, he did Time Bandits. In 85, I think he did Brazil. And in 88, he did The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. And you can see how interconnected these 3 stories are, and the similarities, and there's something very specific. I mean, maybe not so much in his later films, but especially in that time frame, you can definitely tell a Gilliam movie by the look of it.
I wouldn't say they're interconnected because there's nothing really, there's no characters or anything going on from movie to movie. It's just that style.
But there's the style, but then you also have like this element. It's almost like the passage of time. There's like these fantastical journeys, right? And in the first one, it's still told through the eyes of a young boy, which is Kevin, right? Mm-hmm. In Brazil, it's the Jonathan Pryce character, right?
Yeah.
Who's an adult man. And then in Munchausen, it's an older man. So it's almost like the passage of time. So it's like we've come on this fantastical adventure.
I guess you could consider it a trilogy in the same way that that like Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead and
right. It's not like it's the same story. Although you could make a case for this whole escapism, like this whole crazy alternate over the top reality, and just the sense of adventure.
What did you think, Olive?
That was good.
What was your favorite part?
What was your favorite part?
How Kevin said, "No, Mom and Dad, that's evil," and then they touch it, and then they just explode.
When I was a little boy, I loved that part too. It was like, "Don't touch it, it's evil," and they just, of course, the parents don't listen to the child at all, and they touch it, and boom. Like I said, growing up, this film, I loved it, and I mean, I'll be the first to admit it's not a perfect film, but it's just damn fun and very imaginative. It's certain parts of it are clearly dreamlike. You could see a lot of plays with the reality that it lives in, because there are aspects going on in it that you could see are basically influenced by Kevin's reality. But then you realize that, it wasn't real. You think it's a dream, but maybe it's not a dream. And then it's not a dream, but then there's still aspects that are still dreamlike when you return to reality. So it jumps around and plays very fast and loose with those rules.
Yeah. And even though like Gilliam and Cleese and Palin, they're all part of that whole Monty Python universe, this has obviously nothing to do with that, but it definitely keeps that sensibility, British humor, plethora of English actors in this. It's almost like precursor for like Law and Order, where you basically have like all these
cameos
Sean
Connery,
by these big name actors in it. So
Jim Broadbent.
Exactly. Ian Holm as Napoleon, who is hilarious. That line always cracks me up. Little things hitting each other.
He's just obsessed with height.
What else?
Least favorite character and least favorite part.
Least favorite character?
I don't know if I have a least favorite character.
Me neither. I can't have mine.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. Throughout the film, it's almost told in like a series of little vignettes. You're in the Napoleonic Wars, and then you're in the Middle Ages, and then you're in
1900
ancient Greece, and then you're in the 20s or whenever the Titanic was, and then you're in just the land of legends. So it's like each one is sort of like a little story. You can almost see this. This could have been like a little mini series almost.
I'm surprised they haven't tried to make it into.
You know what? I heard not too long ago that they were thinking of making a Time Bandits show for Apple's new streaming TV service.
Was Taika supposed to?
I think I heard his name mentioned, and if that were true, it would probably be the only thing that would actually get me interested in paying money for Apple's TV service, because I gotta be honest, the rest of the stuff on there doesn't look that great. It looks pretty slim pickings, to be honest.
I don't know, that M. Night Shyamalan thing with the
servant,
doll.
that
looks crazy, and that's totally in my wheelhouse, because I have a fascination with dolls, and I've always been curious about stuff like that. But
that's just like one. I've just heard rumors about that. I mean, if it were true, that would be great. I'd wonder how far they could take it.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, time travel, I mean, that's just ripe for a series, going in and out of different time periods and having these little adventures.
The thing I kind of worry about with something like that is
them going too far and making it.
no, well, because the cast, all the Time Bandits are all little people, and there is a lot of slapstick comedy, a lot of physical comedy, them smacking each other around and acting like clowns. It's good. It's not. I never feel like I never feel like I'm like laughing at them in a derogatory way or anything like that.
It's just the story.
I'm laughing at the story. I'm laughing at the characters' personalities, and especially how they play off with Kevin. Kevin is like the conscience of the group that may have been there, but was constantly being subjugated by Randall's greed. But in today's day and age, I don't know if they would see that, or they would just see it as, oh, you're just trying to exploit little people and make fun of them.
Yeah, that's possible.
I kind of worry that, okay, so guess what? We're replacing all the little people. And it's like a cast from a WB TV show now.
All three
Everybody's gorgeous, and that's it. And they all get along, by the way. And it's like, all right, well, just don't make Time Bandits.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
because it came out in '81.
It was very pre-PC times.
Pre-PC times, but I got to be honest. Even if you look at it today, it's good. It's not, like I said, it's not exploitative. It's not derogatory. You love these guys.
Yeah.
And
it's fun to watch.
And they all have little, they all have their own unique characters. I mean, a lot of them don't get lines. I don't think Vermin said more than two words in the entire thing, but he had a person, he ate anything, And
he was trying to eat that ring.
He was trying to eat the gold ring, and you can't eat that. He's like, oh, you don't know until you try. Kenny Baker, who's R2-D2, is in it as Fidget. He was the smallest one, and
he got crushed.
That was my
for a bit. Yeah, he was crushed for a bit.
But then there's
Did he pass away?
Kenny Baker died recently, I believe,
right?
yeah.
Within the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah. I think he had to be in like one of those the new
Newer
Star Wars films.
Ones, right?
Yeah.
The first one, probably.
I think in The Force Awakens he was actually. Well, did R2-D2 move at all on that one?
I
don't know.
Remember. It's like a whole lifetime ago.
It'd be something if they just put him in there for like a still shot.
And I feel like Time Bandits was influential in a lot of other not aspects, but other directors, other writers' works. I think this kind of off the wall, over the top silliness was something that other writers and filmmakers picked up on. I'm trying to think who I feel like would fit in that, but I can't off the top of my head think of anything.
I mean, I can't, and one thing that kind of always bothered me is nobody talks about Time Bandits.
Not really, no.
Whenever you hear about people, oh, what films did you like from your childhood?
Yeah.
I'm the only one who ever says Time Bandits.
Yeah.
Somebody will be like, oh God, yeah, Time Bandits, but nobody, it just doesn't pop up because you never even like see it like referenced in other films or cartoons. You see so much other stuff from our childhood.
But I feel like because it's a Gilliam movie, and
Gilliam movies don't really get referenced too much. Maybe Brazil, because Brazil had a lot of critical acclaim.
Yeah.
But nobody really mentions Baron Munchausen.
No, that's probably like
nobody really mentions.
People like 12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys was his later work. That's true. You could see the kind of polish that 12 Monkeys had. If you compare it to Time Bandits or anything. Time Bandits was clearly, hey, let's get together, try and get some funding for this movie. 12 Monkeys was, here's a major studio, here's millions of dollars, make this.
Yeah.
It's almost like a different style of filmmaking.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you can still see his aesthetic there, lots of
absolutely
plastic and, stuff like that. But Time Bandits, I feel like it gets shortchanged. It doesn't, you don't really see it, like I said, like in kids, we watch a lot of cartoons with the kids, and every time we're watching a cartoon with you guys, I'm like, oh, look, they're referencing Alien, or they're referencing Die Hard, or they're referencing some other property from when we were young. Back to the Future gets referenced so much.
Yes. That's definitely.
I've never seen a cartoon where it's like, oh, here's a doorway and here's the map through space, or like, oh, look, what are these 6 little guys stealing stuff in the background?
Yeah.
Nothing.
That's, you know what, I feel like I know, I mean, not a lot of people, but I feel like I know a fair amount of people that adore this movie. And I agree with you. It's not the first thing that comes out of people's mouths, but I think that when they do revisit it or rediscover it, it's like, oh my gosh, I watched it, like kind of your reaction. I watched it as a child and I felt very influenced by it.
I mean, it holds up.
It's still...
It's like, to me, it's always felt like sort of a hidden gem of the 80s.
Right.
And I wish it got more love. I mean, even now, in order to watch it, we had to bust out the old DVD.
Yes, yeah.
And looking at a standard DVD on a high def television, it's
very different.
Looks kind of crappy. But what was your favorite character, G?
Napoleon.
Napoleon
was good. Ian Holmes did
Ian
an
Holm
excellent...
was awesome as Napoleon. Yeah. So obsessed with height. I mean, that's like the classic Napoleon joke, but
yeah,
he did he had that whole speech getting drunker and drunker, just, you know, Charlemagne, don't be little fellow.
Pretty sure he said Alexander the Great.
Yeah, Alexander the Great. 4'9".
And just like really stellar performances from all these actors. It's funny because you don't really think of Ian Holm, I guess, in comedic roles. I mean, it's funny because we just saw some of the Lord of the Rings movies, and he's Bilbo and different things that we've seen him in. But he's definitely a
He was what was it, Ash in the Alien movie.
Right?
Alien, yeah. The evil robot. Spoiler, sorry, for a film that came out in, 79?
Yeah. I'm sure people have already, most people have seen that movie.
Yeah.
Well, the movie that always comes to mind, which I saw with you many years ago, I think when we were still dating. I don't remember if we were still dating. I don't forget what year it came out in, The Sweet Hereafter.
I've never seen that movie.
I thought we saw that together.
No, you saw that with Lenny, I think you said. That's the one about the bus.
The bus, and the kids. Yeah.
Nah, I never saw that.
Really?
You said you saw that with Lenny and you were weeping uncontrollably.
Oh, interesting. I thought that was you. Oh well. Well, he was great in that. He's in The Fifth Element too, isn't he?
Yeah, briefly.
Yeah. But he's definitely one of those character actors who's pretty fantastic. John Cleese also.
John Cleese is great.
Amazing. Yeah. Doesn't do as much stuff as I'd like him to anymore, but it is what it is.
Even Sean Connery is good.
Yeah, not a fan.
I know you're not a fan of Sean Connery,
but yes, I will allow it. In this movie, he was charming in this. Yes.
Greek king.
Yeah.
You know, he clearly cared for Kevin. That was like the sad part in the movie, I believe.
Yeah. Kevin wanted to stay because he finally felt like he
finally found
cared for.
Parents that care for him, because Kevin's parents.
Well, I don't know about the Queen, but definitely
Queen,
the King.
Yeah, well, the King didn't seem to like the Queen either. But I think
there was something dodgy about her.
I think they added that just for the little intrigue of making you think, oh my God, she's going to try and bump Kevin off.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, I thought that.
But yeah, you think that? I think that's what they were going for. That was like a red herring.
And it's funny because earlier today we were watching Flash Gordon, and that's also a film from the 80s, and just these are films that I loved as a young person, and I really wish there was like film preservation of them, like just.
Well, I think Flash Gordon has gotten love and better treatment. I mean, I'm sure there's been a high def release of that movie and special edition, you know, DVDs of Flash Gordon. I think we even have like a nice DVD of Flash Gordon.
I don't think so. I think we just have a regular DVD.
because Flash Gordon achieved a greater cult status
after the fact,
and
way
after the fact. Yeah. But not only that, because it had a Queen soundtrack,
which didn't hurt it. Yeah,
which
sure.
And it's like not just the Queen soundtrack, but it's a song that everybody freaking knows.
Well, just, I mean, comparing the two movies, very vivid, very over-the-top characters. I mean, Max von Sydow just recently passed, and he's just so over the top, and you can tell that he's having fun with this, and it's very different than his turn as the Knight in the Seventh Seal, or even as Father Merrick in The Exorcist. So it's kind of fun to see him kind of do comedy, I guess, right? He wasn't really a comedic part, but just he was just in it. Yeah.
You know?
Oh, he
and
totally
was just
signed on for it.
He
You
was
could tell.
playing that evil, but he wasn't like being cackly or maniacal.
Right.
He was just a sinister bad guy dressed up like he was a drag queen, basically.
What was that other movie that we just recently saw, and he was in it with Ed Harris, where he has like that store with like the
Needful Things.
Needful Things, yes.
Yeah, Max von
Sydow is amazing. Yeah, I could watch him all day.
Yeah.
Oh, Max von
Sydow. He was the one that played Ming the Merciless. Remember in the Flash Gordon movie we were watching earlier?
I only watched some of that.
But I mean, Time Bandits has always been one of my favorites. It's like I said, one of the films that influenced my childhood the most. And I was glad I was able to show it to my kids. I hope my kids liked it.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, there was a lot of laughing.
Okay.
I want to see the part where he punches the
The part where he punches with that guy, and I love that whole sequence because you can't understand a word that guy is saying.
Some other guy has to translate.
Neither can Robin Hood. He's like, what did he say? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm afraid he's got to do it. You know? And he's like, okay.
I like the part where that guy killed his own person. He turned into
Benson.
Yeah.
Oh, when he blew up Ben. Yeah,
He
evil.
Called his name just so he could blow him up.
He turned him into a dog.
Yeah, first thing, then he blew him up.
I love David Warner so much. He's so great.
The way people explode in the movie is great too. It's just like a fireworks explosion practically.
And the other thing that I found impressive is the details, like the evil's like minions with like the cow skull heads that were chasing them. Like, I mean, you could put that in a movie now and it would still look really good.
Look creepy, yeah.
You know, and even like the details on David Warner's costumes.
It's very Geiger-esque.
Yes,
yeah.
Really.
Especially when his head like sort of opens up and that weird thing pops out with like the knife.
Yeah. Very, very like.
I think the back of his cap was like a skull's mouth with like a tube coming out.
Yeah.
And the tube connected to his back.
Yeah.
And even his little minions, their shoulders were basically skulls.
Yeah.
I like how Evil's name is Evil, but his minions' names are so plain.
Yeah, Robert and Benson.
So I mean, like, I'm always impressed by movies like that where obviously like more than 30 years have passed, but there's elements of it where it would play even now. So like those characters, we're talking about the black hole, remember, like the guards, the way they were designed and stuff is like really, like I could see that in a movie now and it wouldn't be jarring. Like I would never assume that was from like something from 40 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, good production design. If it's really well done, it stands the test of time.
Yeah.
Like you said, the character designs in the black hole were pretty good. Maybe not those garbage can robots that were floating around.
No. The bad guy is like little henchmen, those red things.
Yeah, like those things. Yeah, like that, and also like Flash Gordon, the production design on that.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah,
like Clytus. I always love the way Clytus looked. It reminded me of Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Doctor Doom's my favorite.
Yeah.
But Clytus was the guy with the metal mask, and he had like that one golden arm that he could like shoot at people.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the guy who his eyeballs came out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I always find that stuff kind of fun when you're watching a movie, especially when we're watching a movie from when we were younger.
Like Dune?
Like Dune, my guilty pleasure. You know what? We have to watch Dune and do a whole thing about Dune because that is my obsession. It could be on at 2 a.m. and I may have to work, but I will still stay up and watch it.
It's just so damn weird. It's so damn weird.
I love it. I love it.
Every bit, everything going on the screen has to be explained in whispers as it's going on. I'm eating some breakfast. Yeah. Spice.
You know what? It makes me sad that David Lynch doesn't embrace it. He really should. It is a masterpiece. It doesn't look as nice as the newer version that's coming out. Denis, I always can't remember how to say his last name.
Villeneuve.
Whatever his last name is. But yeah, I mean, the stills on that look amazing. I mean,
you got what, 20 years of technology.
And yeah. And I'm sure a huge budget.
Oh.
I mean, he's got everybody in that movie as well. He's another one.
Yeah, he's already got a budget for two of them.
Yeah. So. But yeah, no, I love Lynch's Dune so very much.
It's a definite guilty pleasure.
Definitely.
Oh God, the little girl dancing at the end.
That is my favorite part.
Yes.
That's amazing.
She's just luxuriating in the carnage. Oh God.
Fantastic.
And the wind is blowing at her weird cloak thing.
Awesome.
And I'm pretty sure I saw that in the theater as well, and just like, what am I watching?
I just remember seeing it on I never saw it in the theater. I saw it on Channel 11 when I was a little kid, where they were like, we're broadcasting Dune with 59 extra minutes, and it was just like all it was 59 minutes of them running around the desert and screaming weird words as people exploded in the background.
I don't care what anyone says. I still love that movie. I still love it so much.
Was there any parts of Time Bandits that you didn't enjoy or thought could have been better?
I didn't like when Fujit got killed.
But it was only for a few minutes, or...
Doesn't matter. He still got killed.
Yes, Fidget. Well, spoiler for a God knows how old movie. Fidget gets squished, but it's not graphic or anything. A big thing falls on him. And he gets restored by the Supreme Being. The Supreme Being is another character in the movie who wants his map back. What?
You said however old he was, 39 years old.
39 years old. Gracie's awesome at math.
Is it really?
That hurts.
Oh,
that really hurts.
We are old.
We're old.
It would be 40 years, but it came out in 81.
Right. Ugh. Yeah.
It's strange thinking that when I saw this movie that I would be like, oh, I can't wait. I never thought I'd be like excited as a man to show it to my kids one day.
I was in 4th grade when I saw it. Jeez, that's like a lifetime. Oh, it is a lifetime ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 2 years. I'm just kidding.
I'm really, I'm
It's
super happy that you and Olive enjoyed the movie.
Yes.
It made me happy when I was a little kid. I hope it made you happy too.
Yeah. That's always fun to share stuff that you liked as a child with your children.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I mean, this has nothing to do with the movie, but the first time I showed my kids His Take on Me, which is a video that also from the 80s and of a song from a band from Norway or where the heck they're from. And my kids loved it and wanted to watch it ad nauseum, which made me very happy.
Well, I mean,
and something else that's been parodied, I feel like this has been parodied and like I'm drawing a blank.
Time Bandits?
Yeah.
I have never seen Time Bandits referenced by anything.
That can't be right. That can't be right.
I've never seen. I feel like
the tone of the movie, I feel like the tone, the subject matter, the comedic elements. I feel like that has to have been parodied. It's funny because you see a movie like Raimi's Evil Dead, and you see how that's been so influential. Yeah, in popular culture, in other directors' works, in other movies. I can't believe that nobody's referenced Time Bandits. How is that possible?
I don't remember ever seeing it. Like, even the map, I would like in the background of a scene somewhere in another thing. I've never seen.
That's nutty.
One thing I wanted to ask the kids. Okay, you've grown up watching films with crazy special effects and stuff. You've watched a movie now from 1981. The effects are not the best. Did it bother you at all? Did it take you out of the story?
No.
Nope.
No. Good. The story had engrossed you enough where the lack of super clear green screen or anything. Okay.
I like bad special effects. It's funny.
Sometimes bad special effects just make a movie great. I mean, look at, like we were just mentioning, Evil Dead.
Flash Gordon.
Yeah. What about you, Olive? Did the special effects?
I already said no.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right.
You're more quiet than usual.
I think she's tired. It's almost 11 o'clock.
No, I'm not tired.
Sure.
I'm sad because we need to go to bed after.
Oh, I wish somebody would send me to bed.
You can send yourself to
Well,
bed.
I think speaking of bed, we should probably wrap it up.
So, scale of 1 to 10.
I'd say it's a what's it? 7.75.
7.75. What would you give it? 1 to 10.
7.
An 8.
I give it like an 8.5. There's a bit of nostalgia in there for me that could push it into the 9 territory, but I'm trying to be a little objective here.
Dad says
Weirdo!
Well, I think for a movie from 1981 with not a lot of FX budget, I think story still holds up. The acting's phenomenal. The script is tight. All the story and design elements work to make everything work. And I think this is probably when Terry Gilliam really was coming into his own. This is as a filmmaker, as a storyteller. So I would give this an 8.5. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
It was really good. Everybody laughed. Everybody had fun.
Great adventure.
I think it's definitely kid-friendly for people that are looking for escapist movies that don't rely entirely on gratuitous violence or potty humor. And I think I like how it ties elements of history as well. I think that's kind of fun. And you know what? I hope that Apple TV really follows through on this, because I would love to go on an adventure with some of these characters again and again. And I think Taika Waititi is a great choice for making those stories happen. He is a good storyteller. All right, that's it from us. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll be back with another review soon. It's time for bed. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.